Hello everyone, and welcome to this evening's webinar, your guide to the new CBAA Award categories. We're going to be talking about how you can get involved with celebrating excellence in community broadcasting. Of course, the CBAA Awards are back for another year, and this year we're pleased to introduce 12 new categories. With the diversity of creations coming out of community radio, we want to ensure that your excellence is recognised. So this webinar will introduce you to the new categories and ensure that you have the tips to ensure you ace your application. Did I just say ensure twice? That's how I get down. My name is Danny Chifley of the Community Broadcasting Association of Australia. Very happy to be here with you for another webinar. This is one of my favourite jobs that I have here at the CBAA. I should also let you know that coming up in a fortnight's time, 10 good governance tips for community radio boards. That's on the 27th of June. Good governance refers to the processes, activities and relationships of your not-for-profit organisation. Make sure it's effective and properly run. Good governance is the sign of a healthy organisation, and it helps to ensure that the day-to-day work of a community radio station aligns with and contributes to achieving the station's purpose. CBAA CEO John Bissett will be here with 10 tips on how you can implement now to improve your station's governance. What I imagine we'll be also looking at the radio station health check, which is available on the CBAA website. I can provide you with more news about that should you wish to email me. dchifley@cbaa.org.au is the way to get me. But as stated before by Helen in the instant message box, we'll be moving over to a new webinar platform for that session. It'll be a platform called Zoom. We're assuming that the transition will be a very, very easy one. Presenters tonight, Danny Chifley, CBAA Member Services Officer, and as you may know him, sometimes host of the CBAA Awards. Nadia Alcali of the Program Coordinator for Member Engagement and Education here at the CBAA, and of course Kevin from the CMTO will be joining us here. In this session you will get an overview of the CBAA Awards and the recent changes, be introduced to the new categories and their criteria, get tips for submitting a first-rate application, and have the opportunity to ask questions about what is going on with these awards. Now we're going to minimise out of this one because we're going to go to the internet and see a few things here. Now, hopefully you've all been provided links to where all the information for the CBAA Awards stuff lives. It's cbaa.org.au/awards. It's also available by following the links from the front page of our website. Of course, the CBAA Awards, for those that don't know, promote and recognise excellence in community broadcasting, acknowledging the accomplishments of stations and their programs, initiatives or practices that increase their capability and improve the services offered to that station's community. I'm assuming that, seeing as we've got a lot of veterans here from the sector in attendance at the moment, that you're all well aware of what the awards are and how you can get involved. But let's delve in a little bit deeper to that. You will have noticed that there is 12 new awards here for the 2018 awards. And how that sort of works is it's a combination of new awards and awards that have sort of morphed a little bit, if you will. I think the best way to have a look at this is we'll go into the booklet that comes for the awards here. So all of the information here about sort of the different awards, and there's some smiley, happy people enjoying the awards. Now, sorry, I'm just going to scroll up this page a little bit, if you'll allow me to do so. So, of these new awards, Best New Radio Program, that is a new award. There used to be the two awards for Best New Radio Program Music and Best New Radio Program Talks. The Best New Radio Program, or the talks and music categories are now ones that they're sort of no longer confined to new radio programs. That's all been combined into the Best New Radio Program section. And so if you're, it used to be sort of if your program had only been on air for 12 months, that you were eligible for those categories. That 12-month restriction is now only for the Best New Radio Program. The music and talks ones, that's open to everyone. The Best Station Fundraising Campaign, that has morphed a little bit. There is now a small station version of that, and we'll get into how that works a little bit later on in the piece. The Best Special Event Broadcast. It used to be combined with the Excellence in Outside Broadcasting Award. It was sort of, they were categories that were getting a lot of entries into both of them. So we deemed that it would be feasible to sort of have those as two separate categories. A couple of the other new ones. Excellence in creative audio is a very interesting one, and that's sort of just there to sort of reflect the great stuff that community radio stations are doing. I mean, obviously, sort of with the way that we're engaging with podcasts and other sort of special broadcasts like that has been the impetus for us to bring about that category. So that award will acknowledge excellence in creative audio. Oh, that's probably fairly obvious. It could be a fiction or non-fiction program, documentary, feature, story or segment that excelled in using innovative audio elements. Entry should be no longer than 2 hours and must have been aired. So it can't just be sort of something that you did for a podcast. It actually has to be something that you did on your radio program. The Excellence in Ethnic and Multicultural Broadcasting Award has now been expanded, and same with the Indigenous Broadcasting Award. So there's two elements to that now. There's a Broadcasting Award and an Engagement Award. So the Broadcasting Award is obviously one of those ones for stuff that's sort of strictly on air, and the engagement is wider station activities where you're getting out there and meeting up with your local community in sort of the arena of ethnic and multicultural and Indigenous engagement, because we were getting a lot of great entries for both of those categories and needed to expand that to, I guess, encapsulate all of the wonderful stuff that stations were doing. Another interesting new award is the Station Leadership Award. So it's one that sort of is a completely new one. I'm just going through my notes here to read about that one. It's presented to an individual who has demonstrated exceptional leadership in their station. The recipient has displayed community radio virtues through a special aspect of broadcasting, cultural, technical or organisation, on air and or behind the scenes. So I'm thinking we're going to get some really different, really great content for that one. And also there's an award there for excellence in technical innovation. The technical award used to be for technical services. That has been expanded a little bit because, I mean, obviously sort of the things that stations are doing in regards to technology have expanded also. The Technical Innovation Award recognises an engineer or technologist or team that has taken an innovative approach to the technology of one or more community radio stations. It's judged on whether they've utilised creative thinking in using existing technology, have they effectively utilised a new or emerging technology to enhance the station's capabilities, and is the innovation of the individual or team considered to be a benchmark for such projects in the community radio sector. So very interesting to sort of see what sort of awards we are going to get for all of those new categories. Now, I'd suggest, now what other new categories are we going to go through? Excellence in journalism. And so this one, journalism, the definition for this is recognised as research and investigation that breaks news stories for the first time in the media. And this is as separate from the presentation of news and current affairs. Journalists may regard themselves as trained or self-taught, emerging or established, citizen or professional, and the award will recognise the success of a journalist and their team in sort of areas of demonstrating best practice skills in independently researching, investigating and reporting on a story, breaking the story or a new aspect of a story ahead of other media, or sort of showing how this story or perspective has had an impact on their community. And I think there was just one more new award that I needed to have a look at. Excellence in music presenting is sort of a new one as well. It's more sort of one that is building upon previous awards that we've had, recognising an outstanding music presenter or team who was an informed musical appreciation and provided an avenue for music that might otherwise go unheard. Certainly one of the reasons why we're all here as community broadcasters. We've talked about excellence in technical innovation. Excellence in innovative programming and content. I probably should have ticked all of these ones off while I was doing it. Never you mind. So you can see there's obviously a whole bunch of new awards that are here. What was this one that I was going to start talking about? Come here, bit of paper. Excellence in, was it innovative programming and content? Yeah. A content initiative that gives platform to music ideas or concepts not normally addressed by traditional media outlets and connects deeply with its audience. So sorry to have run through all of that, but you will find on the link from the page to the awards booklet a handy little guide to all of the awards that we've got here, and sort of not just the new ones, but indeed everything. And they've been broken up into, we've got awards for stations. So you can see all of those ones scrolling by now. It's all the station awards. You see the Tony Staley Award is in there. Awards for radio programs and initiatives. All of those ones there. And of course, awards for individuals or teams. So hopefully we've broken all of that up into a way that makes things easier for people to decide which they would like to enter. And also hopefully broaden the horizons of the scope of entries that we will be able to accept as part of the awards. Now, as with previous years, the way that you will go about entering the awards will be via the online platform. So that is, go to cbaa.awards.platform.com. So we'll do a bit of that now. We'll get into the terms and conditions into a little bit, but we'll just go into there now. So here it is, and once you're logged in, it's very easy to register. I'm registered as myself at the moment. You can go in there, in the About section. There's the awards guide that we were just referring to then, and a link back to the CBAA Awards page. There is the terms and conditions page, which we'll go through in just a little bit because there's some very interesting information in that. And you'll also see here my entries. Now, I have put in a couple of dummy entries. There will be reason to complain about bias should either of these entries win an award. Firstly, in the best online content, there's the Danny Chifley Online Content Super Happy Fun Time. An absolutely fantastic show. Surprised you guys haven't heard about it. Okay, so you'll notice all of these tabs across the top. I'll probably actually, firstly, what we should do is go to Start an Entry, if you want to start an entry. And people who have started their entry so far, you are able to save it and come back and add to it, just as long as you do so sort of before the awards close in a fortnight's time. From this drop-down menu, you would select the category that you wish to enter. Your name in there, name of your station, contact name for correspondence. That can either be yourself or someone who's there at the station. Best phone number to get you on, best email address, station website. And this is pretty handy because when you put in your station's website, it will show a little one of that for you. Actually, this is going to give me the error saying that I haven't fit in all the information. I'll go back to one of my other dummy entries. So you'll notice those tabs there. We're going to, it's the Best New Radio Program with Danny Chifley entry. This is an absolutely wonderful entry. This one is probably the best one to do. So you'll see down here, once you enter your website, it'll show a nice little picture of it, which is pretty cool, I reckon. Now I'll just make you a little bit smaller screen so I can see you and see everything else. And see my box there. All right. Thank you very much for your patience there with that one. Okay. Excuse me. Now, sort of once you've put in all of the information on this first page, you can't really proceed past this page unless you've started filling in all of this stuff. But once you've done that, you're able to go through to all your different areas. That's your criteria, attachments, station authorisation. Okay, so the criteria for this one is somewhat important. Now, this entry that I'm doing at the moment is the Best New Radio Program entry. And hopefully if you sign up to receive the CBAA e-news, you'll hear some news in the next couple of days about how entries that are primarily going to be judged on audio, the task of putting in all the text isn't as onerous as it's been in previous years. Indeed, the sort of only text that you'll enter, excuse me, besides sort of your name, station, contact details and all of that, is in this little overview section here. And in that, of course, there's little tips here. You've got to show how your program is interesting, engaging and entertaining, high production values, informative, so on and so forth. I've stated that my program is all of those things by copying and pasting that into the overview. I'll certainly hope you do a bit more than I do on that one. And because this is an award that's by audio, you can upload your audio here. So if you just go into that one, you'll be able to map to where the audio lives. The terms and conditions state that the formats that are available for entering for this section here is MP3, M4A and MPEG-4. There is a limit of 100 megabytes per entry. And obviously that's one of those things where 100 megabytes, if you've got it at a reasonable quality, I'd suggest that that's about an hour's worth of audio. Someone who's probably a bit more technically minded than I can probably give you a more precise number than that. But I'd suggest that sort of what we're after from stations is you probably wouldn't want to put more than an hour's worth of audio there into the attachment, because it's going to be hard for the judges to get through all of the entries. You want to make the audio that you put in as dynamic as possible and something that condenses everything that makes your show great. Now, while some people might have the luxury of being able to get onto an audio editing platform, such as Audacity, and if you want to find out more about Audacity, it's a free open source audio editing software that we had a look at our most recent webinar, and a great way to get in there and cut up some audio. You could just sort of do an edited version that's very much a highlight reel of your program and put that in there. However, if you don't have that at hand, which is completely understandable, just put in upload your audio sample here, and here in the timestamp section, mark down sort of 2 5-minute sections that you feel best encapsulate what makes your program great. And as stated before, you've got the save and next or save and close options here. So as long as you remember your login details for the Awards Force website, you can come back in and work on your entry. Excuse me. And so once you do that, for this entry, it will take you to the next bit of attachments. We ask that all entries that have an audio component upload a 30-second grab. And that would be sort of, the grab could probably be, if you've got a promo that's playing through other shows for your program, put that up there. The reason that we ask that is because if you are the winner at the 2018 CBAA Awards, we will play that audio grab as you are making your way to the stage. It's optional for you to upload a headshot if you've got one there for press purposes, but I want to give that option there for people to do it. And you can also put in your Facebook or Twitter. That's of course going to be really useful for the awards that are looking at innovation in the digital arena. Because this is an award that'll be primarily judged by audio, and it's only got this little overview section here, entrants might sort of think, well, there's a bit more that I'd like to talk about my program or entry. Please feel free to do that here. And also for people who are sort of thinking, well, we did a really cool YouTube video to advertise our program, station or initiative, you've got the option to put that in there. So that is the Best New Radio Program. It was that dummy award for it's the Best New Radio Program with Danny Chifley. Now, of the awards that there's sort of, and so as we were saying, that is one of the ones where it's going to be primarily judged on audio. So that's awards like the Best New Radio Program, Best Radio Program, Music and Talks, Best Station Production, so on and so forth. The awards that focus primarily on audio, when you go into the platform for those ones, it'll just sort of ask for the audio and not much in the way of written content. You can provide more written content, but it was deemed that there was just too much writing for something where you could show how good your program was by just sort of uploading some audio. This one here is the best online content one. So the interface for this is a little bit different than the other ones. The first page, which as stated, you sort of can't get to the other pages until you've filled out everything on this one. So I've done all of that stuff. Here you've got the opportunity to put in an overview. So if you click in that, it should sort of, so the overview obviously is just sort of what your entry is about. And then a chance to respond to all of the selection criteria here, like the content achieves a clear and measurable objective, appropriate for a community radio station, creative and significant online engagement, content appropriate and maximises the functionality of the chosen, so on and so forth. If you've got audio, you can put it in there. There's your option to do your timestamps there in that one, any attachments that you might want to put in there. And so dependent on the nature of the award, that will hopefully be reflected in how you interface with the platform. Now, obviously, this is a lot to go through, and you might be putting in multiple awards, and you sort of you might be struggling to keep your head above water for all of that. Feel free to give us a call here or email us at the CBAA, because we're more than happy to assist people with this. Nadia, I believe, is the contact for this. So, Nadia, what I might get you to do when you get a chance is, because hot links work in the instant message box, if you're able to pop your email address in there, should anyone have any questions, they'll know that they can just copy and paste your address from there. All right, we've got about another 10 minutes before we're going to get into question times. So we'll get into the station authorisation, which includes all of the terms of condition of entry. And obviously, sort of one of the important terms of condition is you have to say, I have permission to submit this entry from station manager or board president. And they can, excuse me, they might have different names at your station. So please just sort of, whoever the big boss is at your station, be sure you clear it with them. Let's just go through the T&Cs now. This is a fair bit of important information in here. CBAA Community Radio Awards are produced by the CBAA and are only open to CBAA member stations and individuals or groups. Every time we open the awards, hopefully it's sort of one of those things that we can attribute to the fact that we've got a great communication staff here. We will get entries from such diverse things as podcasts from overseas, people who are just sort of doing online broadcasting domestically, all sorts of organisations. But pretty much first things first, you need to be a member of the CBAA to be able to enter. And thank you to all of our wonderful members, because without you, we wouldn't be here. Entrants are required to obtain the permission of the bigwigs at their station. Entries must be received by close of business Wednesday, 27th of June, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's a fortnight from now, hopefully giving you all enough time to put in the entry that you would like to put in. All entries must be submitted via the online awards entry system. Entries will not be accepted by other means. Hopefully, I'm assuming that seeing as everyone here is engaging with webinars, that you're au fait with using online technology. But if there is any problems with it, and it is known to happen that sometimes technology can break down, just let us know about it. So, certainly my experience with community broadcasting has meant that I've dealt with some dodgy technology in my time. All entries must be focused on on broadcast or other station or individual activities occurring between 1st of May 2017 and 30th of April 2018. Now, people who have entered in previous years will know that this is sort of the time frame that we work in. It is one of those things that, in a perfect world, it would be sort of 1st of January 2017 to 31st of December 2017 would be the thing, but obviously we've sort of got to factor in that our awards take place in November, and that we've got the limited amount of time that we can have the awards platform open, and we've got to factor in judging and all of that. If there is a problem with any of that, with sort of being in that time frame, like if you sort of made a really fantastic broadcast and it was on the 31st of April, I'm sure there's scope there for someone to have a chat about it if it's one of those things that sort of would be deemed acceptable by a reasonable person. So I won't be the judge of that, because I've never been known for being very reasonable. Winners and finalists from previous years are eligible from entering the same work in the same category. An entry will be deemed ineligible if the same content has previously won or been listed as a finalist in that category at a previous CBAA Community Radio Awards. Now, obviously, there is a lot of scope in that one. Hopefully, because the number of awards has increased, if you had some really great content, like it was a radio program that you entered into the Best New Radio Program Talks last year, you could enter it into the Best Radio Program Talks this year, but you just have to enter it into a different category. So there's a bit of movement there around that one. Any sort of questions that you might have about that, please let us know. It's just a sort of way of ensuring that we don't sort of have, dynasties building in these awards categories. Entries are open to organisations with a permanent community broadcaster, CBAA membership, or TCBL CBAA membership. that's just something that we've got to put in there. We do have a couple of members who aren't actually broadcasters, just organisations who wish to support the CBAA. They're not actually broadcasters, but it was just deemed that needed to be important to put in there. A maximum of 1 entry per category per member station will be accepted. So that means you can just sort of 1 entry per category. However, entrants may enter the same work in more than 1 category if it fits the criteria for each category. But a separate entry must be completed for each category. So if you've got sort of a flagship program on your station that you feel would be eligible for multiple categories, you can feel free to go and enter that one. In previous years, it has been a situation where stations have been limited to 5 entries per station. Looking through the TNCs, that is not the case for 2018. Obviously, it would be sort of a thing where you'd be able to increase your chances by entering into each category. But we're assuming that everyone's going to be fairly reasonable in regards to that rule. And I'll tell you what, it'd be a bloody good station who was eligible to enter each of these categories. And that's why it could possibly happen, because I found that community broadcasting stations are bloody good stations. When completing the entries, use the name of the nominated station, program, initiative or individual exactly as they would appear on the finalist certificate or winner's trophy. Lord knows every year that we have to worry about whether there's typos on the trophy, so just check your spelling on that one. The CBAA will not be responsible for incorrect spelling of names. This isn't in the TNCs, but it should also be mentioned that the CBAA is not responsible for any trophies that are smashed on the dance floor at the awards night. This happens every year as well. And it's kind of funny. We're able to get replacement trophies for you. You do have to pay for them and everything. But a trophy always gets smashed on the awards night. I would actually probably be a little bit sad if a trophy didn't get smashed on the awards night. If your entry requires an audio component, it is the entrant's responsibility to ensure that this content is playable and accessible by judges. Accessible file types MP3, M4A and MPEG-4. Each file uploaded is limited to 100 megabytes per submission. If you're having any difficulties with any of that, please let us know. Scott Gilchrist, you're saying wow. I don't know if you're saying wow because of the accepted file types or because of the limit of 100 megabytes per submission. That's obviously one of those ones where, as discussed earlier, it would certainly be in your best interests to condense any audio that you enter to be absolutely representative of the best thing about your program. If supporting documentation or audio is required and not provided in the attachments tab of the Awards for system, the relevant entry or entries may not be considered for judging. All supporting material loaded into the Awards for system must be clearly labelled with the station call sign and any program name details. There's a bit of an example there: station call sign, title of nomination. The way that the system works, it should make it fairly easy from the judge's perspective to be able to identify what sort of audio applies to what entry. But just to make things a little bit easier, if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be absolutely amazing. All entries may be reproduced to promote the awards and to champion the excellent work of the community broadcasting sector. If entrants do not own all copyright or there are restrictions in your right to use any material included in your entry, it is the entrant's responsibility to obtain permission from all relevant third parties for CBAA to use that as provided. Where misleading information is supplied within entries, regardless of intention, the CBAA reserves the right to disqualify such entries. That should be fairly reasonable. All entries must include the 30-second bite. All winning entries will be made available for download from the CBAA website, which is rather cool. Awards judges' decisions are final. No correspondence or discussion will be entered into regarding the judging process or any outcomes reached. Award winners may be asked to make themselves available for other CBAA awards activities outside the awards ceremonies, such as being involved in media and communications following the awards. Now, hopefully this is not going to be a hassle for everyone, because we have found that many stations, as a result of winning the award, are able to get a bit of press in the wider media, whether that be the sort of newspapers in your area, websites, blogs, commercial or public radio. It's certainly a great way for you to increase the profile of your station, to be there with your trophy, talking about how great your station program, initiative, individual or team is. The CBAA may extend any deadline or time limit, terminate the awards, or vary the terms of entry at any time and for any reason at its sole discretion. That does not include me entering the Danny Chifley Super Happy Fun Time Hour into the awards, I'm pretty sure. Past entrants to the awards may have noted that some years the awards deadline gets extended. Who can tell if that will happen in 2018? I certainly can't. Okay then, so hopefully that's given you an overview of the awards and the recent changes, introduced you to the new categories and their criteria, and with any luck given you some tips on how to submit a first-rate application. And now we are going to take some questions from the floor. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them into the instant message box. I'll just check to see if anyone's put any questions in there so far. Excuse me for coughing. Thank you very much for everyone who has introduced themselves on the instant message. That's absolutely wonderful. So yeah, any questions, please feel free to pop them in there. Any other questions that you might have, you will have noted that, of course, Nadia put her email address in there. Phil Bromley, Documentaries, recommended categories. Now, okay, so I would suggest, I mean, depending on the nature of your documentary, could go into the news and current affairs programming. Documentaries, I think, would be one of those ones that are probably going to be looked upon favourably in light of the new thing. So it's an 8-part series. Right. Okay, so that one I would suggest, depending on the nature, it could go into best radio program talks, excellence in innovative programming and content. I mean, obviously scope there for if it's a contribution to Australian music radio program, but I would suggest that probably the innovative programming and content, or maybe the creative audio, might be your best bet there, as well as the talks program. Bill, can we see each category criteria without having to register? You sure can. Go to CBAA/awards and go into either click to download guide or more info, and that will take you to the sort of booklet that I've been going through, and all of the information is available there. So all of the criteria for the different awards is all listed there, and you can check that all out. And of course, the way that the questions are categorised in the Awards Force platform, that allows you to do that. Annette asks, can we provide a 30 minutes audio sample, or does it have to be a whole program? I would suggest a 30 minute audio sample would probably be preferable. And it really does depend on the nature of your program. I mean, obviously, if it's a long form documentary, like what was being referred to, I would suggest it would probably make the audio one of those ones that's you would probably want to put the whole lot in, because but then again, an audio documentary, maybe that you would suggest sort of like a 60-minute limit on that would be best practice on that one. But it really depends on the nature of your show. Phil's got to run. Good luck to all entrants. Thanks very much, Phil. Questions about audio attachments for excellence in ethnic and multicultural broadcasting. Yes, you can submit the whole program to that. Obviously, you would it would need to be under the 100 megabyte limit. Audio samples may be limited by our provider, Bill says. Maybe could you clarify that one for me, Bill? I'll let you sort that one out for you. But with all of this, it's basically just sort of a way of using your best judgment to put forward audio that you feel is the most effective encapsulation of what makes your program great. Bill, still waiting for a bit of a clarification on the audio samples. Oh, you may be, as in your internet provider. So sort of like, so you got a limit. That's a very, very interesting one. I'm sure there are ways around that. If that's an issue, perhaps send us an email, and we might sort of see if there's a way around that. Maybe sort of do a Dropbox or something like that. That's the thing does raise a very good point though with the internet providers and the limits of how much you're able to upload. I might have a marinade on that one, but I'm sure there is a way around that. I would suggest in the first instance though, create your piece of audio that you want to enter. If you hit any barriers with uploading it and getting it to us, let us know and we'll sort something out. Maybe get a Dropbox happening or something like that. But obviously we would do whatever is within our power to ensure that you're able to provide the content that you think best represents your program. Are you seeking something particularly for the Best Talks radio program category? We are. I was just going to the categories for that one. Sorry if this is... So it recognises outstanding talks or spoken word program judged on whether it's interesting, entertaining and engaging, has high quality production values, is informative, relevant and well researched, presents a new or different perspective on a selected topic. If you're saying seeking something in particular, as in a topic that would be discussed, no, it can basically be anything. Just as long as what is discussed is interesting, engaging, entertaining, has high quality production values, is something where you're sort of using all of the skills at your disposal to create really engaging audio. Now we had a question there in regards to a 2-hour-long program. With that, I mean, as long as you can keep it sort of within what's in the terms and conditions, as in send us a version that's under the 100 megabytes and so on and so forth. I mean, essentially that is, excuse me, essentially that's allowable, but you've got to look at it through the eyes of the judge. They're going to be looking at a lot of entries, or rather listening to a lot of entries. And so I would suggest that what you would need to do here with a 2-hour program is maybe sort of edit it in such a way where you're cutting out anything superfluous. Like if you're, presumably you're going to a song every now and then. If you've got it at your disposal to take your best 2-hour program and edit it in such a way that we're able to have it there, then I'd suggest that's the best way to go around. But you can also, as we were discussing before, when you're in the awards platform, if you don't have the option where you're able to sort of go in there and edit your work, what you can do is, sorry, how do we get to this tab up here in the criteria section? Just put it in there, the timestamp, because I noticed the asker of said question said that the most important segments only run to 6 to 8 minutes. So what you would do is, if you were forced to upload the entire program and you were able to do that staying under the 100 megabyte limit, then you would just mark in this box here where you felt the best sections of the program were. We were discussing this before, and obviously sort of the judges would focus on what you nominated as the best bits of your program, but they would also be at liberty to listen to the entirety of the entry if they were so inclined to do so, rather. Denise is assisting there, sort of saying we can send it by Dropbox. On you, Denise. So she gets all the Cert 3 students to audio to CMTO. Good on you. I'm liking that Dropbox. I don't want to be seen as an advertisement for Dropbox, but it is kind of a handy tool. But obviously in the first instance, we would ask that everyone sort of just try and upload it directly to the awards platform. We will try to cater to any specific situations that might arise. But when it's a situation like Bill refers to with the provider having an upload limit, then we might sort of need to do what we can to sort of work around that, try and cheat the system. I know I say this a lot, but certainly it is the role of community broadcasting to do quality stuff with limited technology. Can you upload various segments in the audio sample segment? This one here is pretty much, I think, I'll just go into my music here. And so that should be a couple of, why don't I have any music on here? I think I've got a couple of podcasts up here, so I'll upload that one. There we go. That's a 6.13 megabyte one. That's sort of, they're pretty good. Okay, so we're limited to that one there, but you can go into attachments. And down the bottom here, you could add attachments. So we'll add something there, put another one in here, see if we're limited to these things. There you go, you can add multiple attachments there. Obviously, don't go overboard with that one, because as with everything, we're sort of wanting you to make it as dynamic as possible and just include what it is that makes your program excellent. Of course, that might mean multiple MP3s, but that could also be a way around any limits that you might have on your uploads. So that could be a clever way of getting around that. And obviously sort of there's space there in the entry where you're able to provide notes on your award. And so if you are sort of tackling it that way, please do feel free to let us know. All right, now I think I have hopefully answered all the questions that are written there thus far. If I've missed anything, please let us know. I'm just going to scroll up and down everything there now. Hopefully, Kim, there in regards to your query about the Best Talks category, with any luck, I've hopefully answered that one, or not me having answered that one, the awards booklet answering that one. As stated, do you want to check out any of this info? cbaa.org.au/awards. Everything is there, including information about the Radio Gala Awards dinner, which is very important. Saturday, 10th of November, 2018. Should also point out the key dates with the awards. The awards are open now. They've been open for approximately 4 weeks, and so we've had awards started coming in, but we're hoping that we get heaps more in the next 2 weeks, because it's just great for us, because we're able to sort of see all the great work the community broadcasters are doing. 27th of June, the awards will close, so be sure to get your entries in before then. We'll announce the finalists in August, and so it'll be, I think it's approximately 5 finalists per category, and the winners will be announced at the awards gala dinner on the Gold Coast, Queensland, as part of the 2018 CBAA conference. And so the conference will be running to 8th to the 11th of November. And it's an absolutely fantastic event, and if there's any way that you're able to get it to the conference, please do so. It's the premier meeting of community broadcasters in this great nation of ours. And I was speaking to someone who'd been overseas recently, someone from the community broadcasting sector, and they were sort of talking to other media people overseas, and it was remarked upon about the positive perception that Australian community media has worldwide. I would suggest that we're probably the nation that's very much setting the lead for how community media should work. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, and there are other great countries who are doing some fantastic work all through Asia, India, the US, Canada has got some great community radio there. If you did want to find out more about community broadcasting worldwide, and I know this is sort of getting off topic a little bit here, but AMARC, which is the sort of the World Community Broadcasting Organisation. AMARC is an acronym, but it's in French. No, it's not the aircraft maintenance. It's amarc.org. Oh, come on. Why aren't you working for? I'll try and get that link. Here we go. The World Association of Community Radio Broadcasters. I've got the Wikipedia page up there. That's their logo there. Association Mondiale des Radiodiffuseurs Community Radio. Jeez, my French is just fantastic. All right then. So I will leave it open for another minute or so, just in case anyone has any further questions there in regards to how this is all going to work. If you've missed anything from this evening, we will have a recording of this available via the both CBAA website and the CMTO website in just a little while, certainly within 24 hours. Thanks, Bill. He comments that my English is much better than my French. My English, she not very good. And there's, of course, lots and lots of information about the 2018 awards on the CBAA website. I know I've gone through it rather quickly tonight. If there's any questions that you might have in the meantime, please either let Nadia or myself know about it. But all the information for you to enter should be available online, as long as you've got access to your audio and permission from the people at your station to take part in the awards. We would ask you to do so. I'm getting some thanks here in the chat box for doing a good presentation. I'll tell you what, Kim, you can come back to another webinar. Oh, yes, and you can interview me as well. That goes for everyone. If ever you want to do a phone interview with me, just let us know. I'm not trying to get out of work or anything. I just love talking, that's all. All right, so yeah, all the information available on the CBAA website. Get in there and check it out. Let's look at these happy people at the awards. Why isn't there a photo of me on this? What's going on? Jeez, this is no good at all. But look at that. They're all hot people in community broadcasting. There we go. I've answered my own question. That's why there's not a photo of me up there. Wayne Harris asks, are you MC this year? You better believe I am. I've got to secure my employment for the other 364 days of the year. So I will be hosting the awards this year, and with any luck, I'll do a good job. I feel that I've gotten better from year to year. So I'm getting up to the point now where I'm adequate, which is nice. All right, then, if there's no other questions, I might have to call it quits. I will, of course, let you bring up the old thank you for joining us screen, because it's absolutely wonderful having you all here as part of our webinars. Recording will be made available shortly. Next webinar will be in 1 fortnight from now, the 10 good governance tips for community radio boards. That date, 27th of June, also important to everyone here this evening, because that is the day that the awards are closing. So get your entries in. You've got a fortnight. Thanks so much for attending. I look forward to seeing your awards. Oh, Danny Shifley, on behalf of the CBAA, on behalf of my colleague Nadia and Kevin there at the CMTO, that's the Community Media Training Organisation, we thank you for your attendance. We hope you have a good night, and we look forward to seeing your award for the 2018 CBAA Community Radio Awards. And I